Today, Dung Fu invites you to delve deeper into the Dhammapada, the 29th verse from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel TN Thai in USA. Heedful among the heedless, wide awake among the sleepy. The wise man advances like a swift horse leaving behind a weak nag. To walk the path of wisdom is to walk against the current of the world. The world moves fast in forgetfulness, in distraction, in indulgence, but the wise remain steady, rooted in mindfulness, like a strong tree unmoved by the storm. When everyone rushes without knowing where they are going, the wise take a pause, breathe, and see clearly the road ahead. It is not slowness. It is clarity. They do not waste effort on the unessential. They move with strength, with purpose, with compassion. To be heedful means to be awake in every moment, to live each breath as if it were sacred, not to drift in the dreams of past regrets or future fantasies, but to be here, now, completely present, among the heedless, among those lost in the fog of desire, fear, anger, illusion. The wise one lights the lamp of awareness, not to boast, not to judge, but to serve as a beacon, a silent invitation to awaken. The swift horse does not race to defeat others, but to arrive at liberation. It leaves behind the weak nag not in pride, but because it cannot afford to linger in delusion. The journey is urgent, not because time is short, but because suffering is deep. Look at the world around. So many chase comfort yet find no peace. So many seek joy but forget the path of kindness. So many accumulate knowledge but lack wisdom. The wise see this and choose a different road. They train their minds as one trains a noble horse, not with cruelty, but with care, patience, and unwavering commitment. The mind must be guided, gently yet firmly, toward what is wholesome, peaceful, and free. Heedfulness is a quiet flame. It does not shout. It does not demand, but it burns steadily through the darkness, revealing the truth of impermanence, the fragility of attachment, the deep nature of the heart. To be awake among the sleepy is to live with eyes open in a world of dreams, not to disturb those who sleep, but to patiently wait and gently call them back to themselves. The sage does not scold. The sage does not force. The sage simply lives the Dharma and allows the fragrance of that life to inspire. Each of us has the potential to be the swift horse. We may have wandered like weak nags before, circling in the fields of craving, aversion, and confusion. But the moment we choose to wake up, to live mindfully, we begin to change. This change is not always visible, but it is profound. It begins with a single breath taken in awareness, a single kind word spoken instead of a harsh one, a single act of generosity done in silence. That is heedfulness. The wise advance because they do not waste time on what does not nourish the soul. They do not chase fleeting pleasures. They do not cling to what they cannot keep. Instead, they anchor themselves in what is real, in what endures beyond the body and name. To be heedful is to walk with integrity, with gentle courage, with quiet joy. It is to see the suffering in the eyes of others and know that your own awakening is not separate from theirs. In the Dhamma, there is no competition, only compassion. The swift horse does not win a race. It simply fulfills its nature, running toward the open fields of truth. The Buddha's teaching is not a path of force, but of wisdom. It invites us to awaken through understanding, through direct experience, through loving presence. When we live heedfully, we honor not just ourselves, but all beings. We break the chain of ignorance that has bound us for lifetimes. We choose light over darkness, clarity over confusion, peace over reaction. This is not easy, and that is why it is rare. That is why the wise shine so brightly, not because they are perfect, but because they persevere. They fall and rise. They stumble and return, but they never stop, and so can we. Let us begin each day with a vow to be present, to watch our thoughts with tenderness, to walk softly upon this earth, to speak only what is true and kind, to act from the heart of wisdom. Let us not delay. Let us not wait for the perfect time, the perfect place, the perfect conditions. Let us practice now, with what we have, where we are. This is the strength of the swift horse. It does not wait for ideal weather. It runs because it must, because the path is calling, because freedom is possible. You too can be that horse. Swift, strong, awake. Leave behind the fatigue of heedlessness, the weight of regrets, the fog of forgetfulness, and step forward with mindfulness as your companion. Let us reflect more deeply still, for heedfulness is not a single act. It is a life lived with deep attention, with loving presence, with an open heart and a clear mind. The world may call you to be busy, to rush, to acquire, but the Dhamma calls you to slow down, to turn inward, to investigate your own heart. To be heedful is to remember that every moment is a choice. Every thought can be the beginning of wisdom, or the continuation of confusion. Imagine now the swift horse, not only running, but dancing with the wind, its muscles trained not only in speed, but in direction. It does not veer off for small distractions. It does not exhaust itself on foolish pursuits. It runs to be free, and to offer freedom to others, in our own lives. This means choosing silence over empty noise, kindness over winning arguments, generosity over grasping, and peace over being right. The heedful person does not become perfect overnight, but they commit, again and again, to begin anew. How do we begin? We begin by listening. Listening to the body, to the breath, to the mind, to the suffering of others. We begin by being honest with ourselves. Where are we still heedless? Where do we fall asleep in our habits? We are invited not to condemn ourselves, but to wake up gently, kindly, compassionately. For wisdom is not harsh. It is like a soft morning light, revealing what was always there, but now seen clearly. Let us be that light for others. Let us be the example of someone who walks slowly, gently, but firmly, toward what is true and liberating. The path may be long, but it is beautiful. It is lined with opportunities to forgive, to begin again, to open the heart more and more. In the company of the heedless, you may feel alone, but remember, even the Buddha walked alone at times. Even he was misunderstood. Even he faced resistance. Yet he walked on, not out of pride, but out of love. You do not need to convince anyone of your path. You simply walk it. with grace, with courage, with patience. There is a quiet power in not reacting, in not following the herd, in standing still in presence while others run toward distraction. You become like a mountain, like the swift horse who chooses the noble trail. Sometimes heedfulness is just returning to the breath. Sometimes it is catching a thought before it becomes a word. Sometimes it is offering a smile, a moment of deep listening, a small act of care. You are not alone in this journey. All Buddhas of the past walked this same path. All awakened beings once struggled, once doubted, once wandered, but they returned. And so can we. Heedfulness is remembering what matters most. It is holding the preciousness of life close. It is knowing that each moment of awareness is a jewel that cannot be lost once seen. Let us rise up like the swift horse, not to escape others, but to inspire them. Let our lives become messages of peace, of determination, of love. The Dhamma is not only to be studied, but to be lived, breathed, embodied. We are here not to become scholars, but sages. So take this sermon, not as a lecture, but as a mirror. Look deeply, reflect gently, and choose your next step with care. This is the path of the heedful, and this is the beauty of the swift horse. Now let us continue to deepen our understanding of heedfulness, to let the truth of this verse settle into our heart like calm rain nourishing the earth. Imagine living each day as though every breath matters, because it truly does. Each breath we take in awareness brings us home, brings us back to this sacred moment. The wise understand this, and so they guard their minds. They are not careless with their thoughts, their words, or their time. They choose carefully what to consume, what to say, what to do, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. This is the discipline of the swift horse, the one who runs with clarity, not blindly, but with eyes fixed on the goal of awakening. The horse does not let laziness take the reins. It does not stop at every distraction. It stays the course. And so must we. In modern life, distractions are many. The heedless world is always busy, always noisy. But the wise make time for silence, for reflection. They rise early or find moments in their day to sit in stillness, to observe the mind, to watch the dance of thoughts without being caught up in them. To be heedful is also to be tender, not harsh or self-critical. Heedfulness includes compassion, both for ourselves and for others. We fall, we forget, but we begin again. That too is heedfulness. Let us also remember the purpose of the path, not to achieve worldly success, but to free the heart, to open the eyes, to reduce suffering for ourselves and others. That is why the swift horse does not look back, does not compete, but moves steadily onward. You might ask, what does this look like in daily life? It looks like choosing not to argue when you could. It looks like listening deeply to your child, your parent, your spouse. It looks like pausing before reacting. It looks like working with integrity, resting with awareness, walking with gratitude. It means bringing the Dharma into every part of life. When you cook, cook with mindfulness. When you speak, speak with intention. When you rest, rest in the arms of awareness. When you face difficulty, vow to it as a teacher. Heedfulness is not found only in temples. It lives in the way you hold your cup of tea, the way you wash your hands, the way you meet a stranger's eyes with kindness. Every act becomes sacred when we are present. Every moment becomes an offering, a step on the path, a lesson in impermanence. When we truly understand this, we stop blaming the world for our unhappiness and start taking responsibility for our peace. The weak nag is not another person. It is the untrained mind, the part of us that forgets the truth, that falls asleep in distraction, that chooses pleasure over clarity. But we are not bound to be that way. The Buddha's teachings awaken the swift horse in us, reminding us that we too can rise. We too can gallop through the open fields of liberation. Each act of mindfulness sharpens our awareness, strengthens our resolve. Each act of generosity softens our heart and loosens the grip of ego. Let us use this precious life wisely. Let us not wait until tomorrow to be heedful. Let us not wait until a crisis wakes us up. Let us practice now, in the middle of our ordinary life. For the swift horse is not waiting for a race. It runs now, toward awakening. May our life be like that, full of clarity, of peace, of love that arises from true understanding. Thank you for watching my video. Namo Amida. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel to review the short sermons of the Buddha. Thank you for listening to the Dharma.